Hello, Scott. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth. How are you?
I am doing very well, and I think you are too, right now.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. So, Scott, what will you bring us today to awaken us?
Well, gee, am I in the hot seat to have to bring awakening to all people? I think the real issue is that people have to co-create, not only requesting getting assistance, but they have to co-create with their imagination properly to connect to all the other beings and energies that are out in the universe that work not as tyrants, but when people operate from true free will and request their assistance, that's how they'll work with them. They don't just come and intrude in someone's life and heal them of all their problems and set them free. And because the person wouldn't learn anything and they'd be vulnerable to tyrants hoodwinking them and deceiving them to receive some so-called gift, and then you end up worshiping these beings and they're really just controlling your energy and using people. That's not good. People's conditions in one lifetime in a physical body, growing old or getting health conditions, they are actually responsible on it as a true being, which isn't the body but spherical shaped, soul or atma, what beings from other worlds call this eternal presence that we are, is comprised of the very same energy as what people think the supreme being is, or the source. They're identical. So we're like little co-creators, little gods and goddesses amongst this great source, this great place, many dimensions above the lower planes that we originate from, that all of us came from originally. Because that's the real truth. And tyrants don't want people knowing this stuff again, remembering it again, because they once knew it. People on earth have been made to forget all about this. All they work with now is doubt and fear and concern and speculation and theory. Even the teachers with PhDs in regular public universities and teach people nothing but theory because they themselves do not know. That doesn't help anybody. It might help you get a job with a degree, but it really won't help you wake up. To do that, you'd have to be working with scientists with PhDs who are spiritually aware and who will teach people the real truth about physics and science as it's understood on billions of other worlds out in the universe, just in the physical universe alone, that people on Earth are being kept from knowing anything about because it's so highly classified, to protect an elite group of people here who think it's for our own good that they get to know it, but we do not. That's not true. They're being influenced by, and have been influenced by, off-world tyrants over the last 65 years in ways that the elite on the planet are not even aware. Well, they're aware something was done to them, but they don't know how to turn it off. So, to fix that, very kind, loving, enlightened beings from other worlds in large numbers have decided to do something about this for the first time in galactic history regarding this planet. So I won't get into all that tonight. I've done it in other shows, but where that comes from or anything like that. Come here, Starlight. He wanted to come on the show. He's loud when he wants to get his presence known. There's a history to all of this. You know, you could call it Galactic History 101. And even that would only be galactic history in this Milky Way galaxy we live in. It wouldn't be Andromedan history or billions of other galaxies' history. It wouldn't be the history of the astral plane or the causal plane or the mental plane or the etheric plane, planes above the physical, whole dimensional divisions, or across the void known to the Buddhists into the higher worlds we originate from. Because that's knowledge that people on Earth have had taken away from them or suppressed through the misuse of advanced extraterrestrial science in a history they don't remember. Even a history that goes back on this planet more than 50 million years to the time when the dinosaurs were made extinct, the very big carnivorous ones. And beings have been brought here and have been coming here in histories that have come and gone with polar ships of this planet that is not in the present culture here. They don't know any of it. But they should. They have the ability to understand it. Even if they don't believe it, they do. Because they're not the bodies they wear. They are a being experiencing a life in a body on this planet with all former memory suppressed, or most of it. But what they really are is someone who is capable of traversing the grand multidimensional universe and knowing what they're doing. People say, you can't comprehend the Supreme Being or God or any of that. This is not true. It's a belief system, and it's perpetrated by people who are as much in the dark or more in the dark than the people they preach to. A human being is not a body. A human being is spherically shaped, and it has the ability to see in all directions and know things anywhere in creation. Once it remembers, can get in and out of the body, can travel the multiverse, can come back to this body and live a normal life here and know all this stuff, because human beings in other worlds do know this stuff. So are we at about a break point now, or we got more time?
Sorry?
Are we at a break point now, or do we have more time?
More time, you can continue.
Okay, so with each show that we're doing, and as you know, there's no money involved in this, in my work with you, no charge. The only thing I sell are books which I've written, like the Sayre's Agenda or the Emerald Doorway book, one of the Parallel Time trilogy, because they're written to help trigger certain things in human beings on Earth. They're written as doorways, protected doorways, very special ones, to help people remember and begin the process of remembering what was they were made to forget before they found themselves born here. That's what my work is about. And that's what the work of friends I have from very far out of town, off-world, in other world systems, and from higher dimensional realities, and their master teachers who I work with, that's their purpose now. So it's something that's coming this way in the universe, and there isn't anything of any power, tyrant, or technology that can prevent it. And it's good for all life. So what's coming is unexpected, and it will be unexpected and unanticipated by people here. But they might as well get as aware of who and what they once were before they were born here as quickly as they can, because they're going to be involved in it whether they like it or not. What that means is people who think they have free will here on this planet, who unknowingly go about thinking negative thoughts and visualizing negative things about their own future because there's things in their subconscious compelling them to misuse their imagination this way. They're creating circumstances that are keeping them grounded to this planet with no memory. The first thing that my work does is get people aware of how and in what way it is to correctly use the power of the creative imagination, because it's not fantasy. You don't make it up in your brain. There's nothing in the brain between your ears or in the skull of a human being, like a motion picture camera and a movie screen that it projects things on. And people imagine a beautiful hummingbird or a beautiful woman or a waterfall or another planet. They think they're making it up in their head. This is not true. They're seeing it unconsciously from their spherical being that's running this body and looking out in the universe and actually seeing it. But they've never been brought up from birth to understand this. There's no grounding, no basis for them to have any confidence with it. It's like fantasy for them. People remember dreams at night are all jumbled. It's because they've taken fear into the dream state at night before they've gone to bed. It creates those circumstances that jumble all that. So if people go to bed at night or have a contemplation or meditation during the day and put all their fears about everything on a shelf first and then go into working with the hue, that whole round tone, sets up a harmonic frequency with a pure tone that underlies all creation, and it's connected through the pineal gland in the center of the brain. The same gland that secretes melatonin and serotonin, which puts the body into a sleep state and makes it run on automatic when you get out of the body and go exploring. The body has this capability, and the being running it has the capability to put it on automatic safely and go out and become aware of greater things in the universe and contribute in greater ways as well. They're not limited to just being on this earth, unconscious, living 80 years and dying with no memory. They think that's normal. It isn't. There's nothing normal about that at all. If you've ever been to other world systems, countless millions of them, and visited normal human beings, they're telepathic, they have photographic memories, they use 100% of their brain, not 6 to 10% we're told we use here. It's 100% brain developed. Why wouldn't you use it all? Something was done to people here, so they have trouble accessing it. And though normal human beings can get in and out of their bodies at will, even the children, when they're born, know who they are when they were big. It's not like that on those other worlds, like it is on Earth. Earth is not a normal human planet, not yet. It's designated to become one, which is what my work is about, but as of right now, it is not. How can you call normal people that live on Earth and get born here, have no memory of where they came from before they were born, or what they were doing? That's God's will? What God? Some tyrant demanding you worship it, who gives you nothing in return for that worship, but unconsciousness? He compels you to reincarnate on this planet, stupider than a brick? That's not normal. People aren't stupid. The Atma is all-seeing and all-knowing. It can plug into that omnipresent current all through creation, which is comprised of the same energy, and connect to everything. But people don't remember that. They don't believe it. They have no faith in it. They have faith in something they've been told to believe in from outside, but no proof about anything that they'll die and go to some permanent heaven. How can they go to a permanent heaven and be trusted by the source behind all life to be trustworthy conscious co-creators with it if they're not experienced and know nothing? Wouldn't they just go up there and muck everything up through their ignorance and childish behavior? Well, sure they would. So you see, it doesn't really work like people believe. They want freedom or spiritual freedom. They're going to have to be trustworthy with it. Can't just go out there and willy-nilly think and imagine wherever you want, because this omnipresent power will fill whatever you put into it, good or bad. So we're here to learn how to use the imagination in the one proper, only proper way that there is to use it. And that is to, in full consciousness, co-create intentionally only that which is of uplifting benefit to all life. All life. Tyrants, good guys, bad guys, animals, plants, trees, other planets, other realities, all of it. That is what a true human being's destiny really is all about. And if I can help people recover a little bit of that, they're well on their way to recovering the rest through their own effort once they know how. About time for a break?
Yes, before the break, I would like to tell people, to read your books. They give me such wonderful experiences that you have to read and experience by yourself, to understand what it's God saying, It's
That's right. The Series agenda was written, which is a really benevolent human beings, mostly their viewpoint of Earth from outside Earth, looking at it, not trapped within it, unconscious. And what recently changed in their societies and among them that got them involved with beginning to focus on transforming this planet. They have the technology and the spirituality they've had for hundreds of millions of years. Why not share it here? There's only one thing that prevents that, and that is the conscious free will of people on this planet. That has to be awoken first so they can choose to have it done. Only tyrants would force something on others. The beings I work with are not tyrants. However, they are busy going about outside of Earth right now, neutralizing all the tyrant spacefaring races and beings in other bodies and out of bodies, even in higher planes, because they are acting as tyrants because something was done to them too. And if that's reversible, and it is, then tyrants stop being tyrants, the universe changes, and Earth can take its place among the stars, amongst hundreds of millions of other worlds that have that freedom and enjoy knowing who they are, that isn't the body, how to move it around, in or out of spaceships, either way, or both, for fun. But they're not trapped in bodies. And everybody's going to lose the body they have now eventually anyway. So it's better they know who they are that isn't the body long before their body perishes.
Mm-hmm.
This makes sense, doesn't it?
Scott, your book, The Series Agenda, can I say that myself? I have experience with the series myself too.
Sure, of course you can. Mm-hmm. There's a special techniques section in the back of the Series Agenda book. It's spelled S-E-R-E-S, but it's pronounced Series, as if it was spelled S-A-Y -rays. This is an advanced human race, billions of years old, very tall, much taller than Earth humans, from whom we get our DNA. We are like they helped bring these kind of body forms into existence long ago. They're very advanced. They immortalized their physical bodies over 1 billion years ago. And they're only recently beginning to get involved in this universe again and looking and seeing what beings have done with this freedom and how they've misused it. And they're, they might say they went through their own recent consciousness change to get involved to help to straighten out the younger races, because they just gave everybody free will for a while. And then some people went off and became tyrants and misused science and trapped other people and all that kind of thing. There was a great war in our galaxy 500,000 years ago that came to an end. The tyrants were defeated, but they weren't destroyed on their home worlds. It was a treaty that was signed and worlds were rebuilt. There's been kind of a Cold War going on between races. Most of the races out in the universe are benevolent, kind, advanced. Some are tyrants that travel the stars, and they've been held in check for 500,000 years. Tyrants like to break laws and things they agree to, sneaking around corners, doing things covertly whenever they can get away with it. There have been ships at the time shot down on this planet, like the one in Roswell that people know about that was so famous. There have been many others, but they weren't shot down by our militaries on this planet. There's a lot bigger picture going on here. Whatever they were about to do, they were about to do something really diabolically bad, and they were stopped. If we'd been left to our own devices entirely in the last 65 years, this planet and its misguided governments would have annihilated this place in nuclear war. They tried. And that's been prevented. So I don't worry about the future in that way. I don't have fear about the future like most people. I don't dwell in it. I don't work with terms like fear and doubt and uncertainty in theory. These are all artificially created negative emotions. They aren't real. People think they're part of human emotions. They're not. They've been forced to indulge in them along with good. So it's good and bad. Splits their consciousness in half, and their imagination's going out creating two opposing things at the same time. And then they get two opposing things happen in their life, and they wonder what's going on. They're like gods clothed in rags who have been forced to misuse their imagination so that they get dumbed down to a level where tyrants can use their energy and control them. Out in the universe and behind the scenes on Earth, that process is beginning to be reversed. That's important.
Okay, we take a break.
We'll take a break, and from my end, I can stop the recording. I can pause it, I suppose. Okay, so we're recording again. We paused briefly. And to clear out some negative energy from things that Perry has had during the week that she had on her own in Thailand with certain beings she met from other worlds, well, here's what we're going to do. And this is going to be for the benefit of the listeners too, not just for Perry and myself. The hue, this first sound behind all creation, that precedes the creation of evil and good and all the lower energies, that we are made of the same energy. So we're going back to that point in ourselves and connecting to that place beyond time and space. That's what the hue does. It does not empower negative and positive, good and bad, or any lower forces at war with each other. It is beyond that, and so are we. So we'll go into this hue 9 times together, Perry and I. Mm-hmm. And this is to uplift the energy and to send any negative influences on their merry way in a way that will benefit those negative beings as well. Because negative beings only act the way they do because subconsciously they are compelled to do so. They can't help it or they wouldn't do it. Something more terrible was done to them to make them tyrants than were done to the people on Earth who don't remember who they are. It's always important to remember this, dealing with tyrants. Going to war and killing each other just sets up conditions in space-time that recreate the same circumstances later on. And then the good guys and bad guys are fighting it out again, and it never ends. So it's going to be up to us, conscious beings in the universe and here on Earth, to permanently end that kind of thing. or the retiring of evil as an experiment, as I like to call it. So when I do this, I always take several deep breaths. And I imagine someone or something that I love and have respect for, and I'm very grateful that they're in my life, like my cat. Very special being, not even human, but very advanced. And he's a best friend. So that sets up a certain doorway, opens a certain door through divine love. Real divine love, by the way, isn't what people think it is. It means that you're consciously aware, going about respecting all life everywhere, not just life on Earth, life in the grand multidimensional universe, because we once all knew how to do that. Remembering that and recovering it like that on a planet like Earth, it's no small task, but it can be done. This begins that process. What's important aren't my words, but rather that people experiment with it, because then they'll have their own experiences with it until they know with confidence, once again, who they are that isn't the physical body and how to move it around, how to co-create properly. That's what this is about. When you close your eyes and see something in your imagination, you're obviously not seeing it with your physical eyes, because the physical eyes are closed or turned off. So the being, the real being, is seeing it somehow, or perceiving it, or feeling it, or knowing it. Even if it's not as clear as what you think matter is in the physical universe when you open your eyes and look at a tabletop or an apple. But in reality, you can see more definitively and clearly when you're looking from the perceptive capabilities of the Atma or soul, which is spherically shaped energy, but not like energy made of molecules. That raises the vibration and puts a being into the center of their own true self. How do you experience the energy now, Perry?
It's better. It's much better. I can feel myself. I can feel, because I have my own experience, which I can't say what it is.
Mm-hmm. So let's say we take a break with your audience now.
Mm-hmm.
because we really just paused it and then we continued right into this. And I think it's important that they got to share in this as well, because it's a new ray, a new consciousness operating in the hue that comes through this for the benefit of others on earth. There's no tyrant or negative nature involved in it whatsoever. And it's a special protected energy. Again, that's only words, but people can find this out for themselves. It looks like that last part of the session, the back end of it, where we did 5 hues and talked about some exercises and the books, did not get recorded. So this will be in 2 sessions. I don't know why it did that, but that's okay. I hope it's okay. I think it will be. Perry and I were talking about the books, the series agenda, how they can get it in their part of the world, anywhere in the world as an ebook. But it does have a special technique section in the back that is designed for the prologue and all 29 chapters. And that means that when you have an experience with the hue, the new ray in it, which you'll discover what that is, you can refer to the technique in the back that goes to the chapter that most represents the kind of experience you're remembering and recovering from a contemplation or meditation in the daytime or before you go to sleep at night. So when you wake up in the morning, you may bring back some awareness of where you've been while your body is in the trance state called sleep. So those techniques, when you have an ebook, because an ebook has different types of ebook readers and you can change the font, a book that has 400 pages might have 1,000 in an ebook. So when I recommend to go to this page and read this paragraph or these 2 pages in one of these techniques, you won't find it on that page. But you can go to that chapter and find the paragraphs I recommend that people read because they're described, where they begin and where they end. And then it's a little more work, but they can use the ebook for that as well. It's easier in a trade paperback because everything stays the same. But that shouldn't be a limitation for people. And in fact, those techniques at the back of the series agenda and the series agenda can also be used for the Emerald Doorway, even though they're not in the back of that book. So people will figure out how to do that. They'll experiment on their own. So let's do 5 hues for the benefit of all the listeners. I did this before, but we weren't recording, so let's do it again for their benefit. I'm just going to do 5 hues, and this is for the benefit of all the listeners, so they can begin to work with the hue, the new ray in it, which is important they understand what that is, so they can have their own direct experiences with this, which is what my work is about. So I'll begin that now. When you send out the hue, it provides a certain protection. Although these are only words, each individual, it's important they experience that this protection is with them and that they have this understanding awakened in them by their own direct experience. Not by my words, but by co-creatively exploring the techniques and finding this out for themselves. When you do the hue, first imagine someone or something you love and you're grateful for having in your life, whatever it may be, a person, place, or thing. Sets up the right conditions to begin this connection, this telepathic connection with the omnipresent first sound behind all creation, way beyond good and evil. It's comprised of energy, even in the void of space, this energy is. And it comes from the original source. And so do all of us, before time and space were created. So when you do this, remember to send out this statement. It's worded and structured in a very specific way to give permission to beings who are free beings, who have the capability and the training to assist us to remember so much that we've been made to forget in a safe and balanced way. This is the statement. You can send it out aloud or silently inside. Safely show me deliberately hidden truth on a grand multidimensional scale, and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it. And then do the hue some more till it comes to a natural stop. You can do this in a contemplation or meditation during the day, or at night before you go to bed to set up the conditions for your experience. Remember not to take any near fear or doubt, speculation or theory, or concerns you have in your physical life here into a contemplation or before you go to sleep at night. First, imagine putting all that stuff on a shelf in your imagination, and then go into the hue. Very important. And with that, I think that should conclude our show.
Okay. Scott, thank you for being here with us today. So we see you again on Friday for Awaken Hidden Truth, okay?
Okay, see you, Perry.